Holy smokes everyone, this is an emergency important update you need to understand, and you need to know what the central banks are doing with your favorite precious metal, gold, right now. Now you may be thinking, gold, it hasn't been performing well lately, who cares? Well, it is at these times when everyone is distracted and everyone forgets about an asset class, that is the time when the smart money starts to make their moves and starts to pay attention. So everyone, what are these central banks doing and why is it so important? Let's have a look. Look at this everyone. Central banks accelerate shift from dollar to gold worldwide. Now this is huge everyone, because the previous decade, central banks were selling off a lot of their gold reserves, but recently they've started to diversify from the dollar because this is what's happening, and this could be a warning of what's to come. This is why everyone, because look at how many dollars they are printing, and other countries are starting to pay attention. Because look what happened in 2020. The money supply increased by nearly 30%. So the days of the dollar holding world reserve currency is limited. And it's not just this they're doing. I don't know about you, but if I was a central bank, I wouldn't want to be holding dollars either. Because look at what they've done to the dollar since the Federal Reserve was created. Again, they said the Federal Reserve was created for the people, to help jobs and everything like that. Well, they've done a very good job at completely destroying your purchasing power. Look what's happened since 1933. It has completely fallen off the cliff, and we can see down here now the dollar is almost worthless. And if you think the money printing is crazy now, remember every recession they print 10 times the amount they did the previous recession. So the next time the US faces an economic crisis or financial crisis, they are going to print the currency into oblivion. But listen to this everyone, more resilient to upcoming rate hikes, and holdings rose to a 31-year high in 2021. Central banks around the world are increasing the gold they hold in foreign exchange reserves, bringing the total to a 31-year high in 2022. Again everyone, the reason they are doing this is because the US is being very irresponsible with their world reserve currency status. Because they have the privilege of world reserve currency status, they can print their money like crazy and not have their currency devalued like what's happening in Turkey with the Turkish lira right now. But it still doesn't mean, like we're seeing in the charts, that it isn't losing its purchasing power. And this is causing other countries to become uneasy with this amount of money printing, and they're now starting to go to gold as a hedge. Now, best way for us to have an idea of what's in store for us in the future is to learn from history. And I bring up a chart here, everyone, of world reserve currency status throughout history. Look at this, everyone. Now, just because the US has held the world reserve currency status all our lives, it doesn't mean it's always will. Look, Portugal between 1450 and 1530 held world reserve currency status for 80 years. Then there was the Portuguese succession crisis and Iberian Union. Then Spain held world reserve currency status for 110 years between 1530 and 1640. Then there was the Dutch occupation capital revolt and the fall of the Iberian Union, 30 years of war. Then there was the Netherlands. They held world reserve currency status. You're starting to see the trend here for around 80 years between 1640 and 1720. Then there was the Dutch East India Company decline and Anglo-Dutch wars. Following them was France. They held world reserve currency status for 95 years between 1720 and 1815. And then, of course, there was the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. Now we're getting to more recent times. The country that held world reserve currency status before the US was Britain. They held that for 105 years between 1815 to 1920. But then there was the crisis of the British East India Company decline, World War I, Great Depression, and World War II. And as of today, the US has held the world reserve currency status since 1920. But as you can see, the average time an empire has held world reserve currency status is between 80 and 110 years. So that means based on history and based on the data, the US is due in the next decade to lose its world reserve currency status. But of course, you have people say, oh, that will never happen. You know, that's 10 years down the line. Oh, I don't need to prepare now. That's just doom and gloom. It's never going to happen. Well, nothing can happen for years, but then years can happen in days. We have a quick look at gold's price right now. Is around $1,800, about 10% off its recent all-time high of around $2,030. So when you compare it with stocks, at least you're getting a 10% discount with gold instead of buying into stocks at all-time highs. Now again, going back to its poor performance, gold normally doesn't perform well when times are good. Gold is an insurance policy, and it is times like these when everyone's becoming complacent and everyone thinking that the economy is booming, that the markets are great, you want to diversify into gold. As again, it's not financial advice, this is just my opinion. Because it's at this exact time when gold does its job. Look what happened in March. It went from around $1,500 all the way up to $2,000. That's a massive 35% return in a matter of 4 months. That's why if you wait for the crisis to start investing in gold, it may be too late. Now, I'm not saying that gold is about to skyrocket anytime soon or that it can't go lower. No one knows exactly what's going to happen in the short term. But from what I can see what's happening with the central banks, what I can see what's happening with the markets, with the economy, I think the markets are getting it wrong. I don't think we're going to have this crazy growth in 2022. And I just personally feel like we haven't really recovered, and I don't really believe in this recovery that's happening right now. I think we've had a huge recovery because of all the money printing, all the stimulus. It has covered everything up, but now inflation is coming home to roost. And when they do start jacking up interest rates, this is going to cause another downward spiral and lead the US and the global economy into another recession. And when the fear come back into the market, those that have a bit of gold in their portfolio, not saying go all in, sell all your stocks, sell all your real estate and go 100% in gold, but those that have their insurance will still perform very well. But everyone, that was just a quick update with what the central banks are doing with gold, some reasons why I think they're doing this with gold, but what do you think? Let me know. Now for my loyal viewers and subscribers still watching, you're awesome. Thanks for watching, I'll see you in the next video.